you guys to get more active. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Amame con tu rebozo, Llorona, porque me muero de frío. Amame con tu rebozo, Llorona,
I'm gonna do the cotton bells.
Oh, okay, so you're actually going with the 7.
Yes.
Wow.
I talked to Davo. I gotta come up with $450.
1, 2, 5.
Yeah, he's making my food.
Y has dado la vida, Llorona, que más quieres más. Y has dado la vida, Llorona, que más quieres más. ¡Viva la República! ¡Viva Santana!
No, I think that's him over there.
Ah, that was the one that we took a picture with?
I took a picture with Santa Ana.
That's pretty cool, baby.
That is cool.
Todo eso es Mexican side?
Yeah. Yeah.
It should be my source of I like doing crazy stuff like this. This is like the third year of doing it consecutively. I think it ended up being like a
Today, we will show you a shortened but historically accurate portrayal of the Battle of San Jacinto. We cannot recreate the entire battle with its 1,500 combatants, cavalry charges, and horrendous carnage. But we can take you to two history-making days in 1836. The reenactors on the field today will walk on the same ground on which the battle took place, use the same tactics and types of weapons, and duplicate the same maneuvers, so you can imagine what happened in April of 1836. During the Revolution, this piece of ground was part of the McCormick Ranch, operated by Peggy McCormick, whose husband Arthur drowned in Buffalo Bayou in 1825. The terrain today is different from what it was in 1836. The land is sunken about 10 to 12 feet through subsidence caused by the modern-day pumping of underground water. The marshes along the river to the east, where much of the aftermath of the battle took place, are under several feet of water. There is less vegetation today, but the contours of the battlefield have remained much the same, except around the monument and reflection pool, where the landscape was altered during construction in the 1930s. The camps you see here were placed to provide a convenient place for our living historians to stay last night. During the actual battle, they would not have been set up until the armies arrived on the battlefield. These camps duplicate living conditions of the participants of the original battle. The original Texan camp was to the west, under large trees along the Houston Ship Channel, and the original Mexican camp was to the east of the monument. There was no encampment of civilians near the battleground. Our encampment here is to provide a place for us to interpret for you the travails endured by the Texian and Tejano families fleeing before the advancing armies under Santa Anna. We trust that this recreation on a portion of the historic battlefield will give you a better understanding of how liberty was won for Texas. We are in the state of Coahuila, Mexico. Much of the populace, Mexicans, nationals, and newcomers from other countries, including the United States, are in open rebellion. It is April 1836, at the end of an unusually cold and wet winter, the worst for some time, but the weather is not on the minds of the colonists. The Alamo has fallen in San Antonio. All of its defenders are dead. Near Goliad, the 400 men under Colonel James Fannin were defeated in the Battle of Coyitos Creek. After having surrendered, they were brutally massacred despite the protests of Mexican General Jose Herrera. Like wildfire, the word is spread across the colonies. Escape occupies the colonists' time and efforts. Escape from the advancing army of Mexico's despotic dictator, General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna Perez León. After witnessing Santa Anna's savage treatment of rebels in Zacatecas and Yucatan just last year, many of the oppressed people in Mexico did not enthusiastically support Santa Anna's invasion of Texas, where similar insurrection has been raging since last fall. Like the Texans, they wished for the freedom they had before Santa Anna rose to power and disposed of the Constitution of 1824.
Run for your lives! Santa Anna's coming!
Riders spread throughout the colonies, their horses carrying them down the wagon trails and along the old Spanish Trail as they shout the ominous news, Santa Anna is coming, run for your lives. Because after the fall of the Alamo and the massacre of Goliad, Santa Anna's goal is clear. The Texian rebellion must be totally suppressed. All rebels are treated as traitors and pirates and must be eradicated. Against the Texan revolutionaries, Santa Anna has sworn no quarter. Everywhere, families are leaving their homes and farms and fleeing east. It is not an early migration, but a chaotic exodus of terrified women, children, and old men, as most of the young men have joined the army. Walking in front of you now is a small group of such colonists. They have been trudging along hot, dirty roads for days and have come to San Jacinto on their way to Louisiana in safety. Here, they will camp hoping to find rest for the night. After Santa Anna entered Texas, a group of Texians met in convention at Washington on the Brazos near present-day Navasota. They declared independence on March 2nd, wrote a constitution, and organized an interim government in defiance of the Mexican dictator. It was the insurgent government officials that Santa Anna most wanted to capture. So Santa Anna, anxious to win the war and return to Mexico City, left his army behind and raced east with a detachment in a bid to capture the rebel leaders. Sam Houston, elected as commander-in-chief of the rebel Texas Army by the delegates at the convention, is under enormous pressure from the revolutionary government as well as his own men. After taking command at Gonzales, Houston has continually retreated eastward, pausing only at Gross's plantation on the Brazos River to train for the inevitable meeting with the Mexican army. The antagonism of the men toward Houston is almost uncontrollable. In their eyes, Houston does not want to turn and make a stand to avenge the men slain at the Alamo and at Goliad. On a road east of the Brazos, the army arrives at a fork. One road leads to San Jacinto, and the other leads to safety. Houston chooses the road to San Jacinto and leads his ragtag army toward its state with destiny. On the morning of April 20th, 1836, Houston's army arrives here on the plain of San Jacinto and encamps under the moss-hung trees along the banks of Buffalo Bayou. Marching past you now is Sam Houston, leading his troops to their new camp. They have been marching all day and are tired, but their fighting spirits are high. Houston's men hardly resemble the Napoleonic-style armies that were typical of the time. Instead, this is a collection of about 800 individualistic frontiersmen, farmers, merchants, tradesmen, lawyers, and doctors, and some U.S. Army regulars from Louisiana who unofficially joined the ranks. They've come to Texas from all over the United States, and a few are from Europe. Among them are native Mexicans like Juan Seguin and his Hispanic militia called Tejanos, citizens of Mexico for more than a decade. Others have been in Texas only a short time, but their property and liberty have been placed in jeopardy by a ruthless dictator. These men have joined the fight for various reasons, some to defend their land and their liberty, others to seek new opportunities from the spoils of war. Whatever their motivation, here, at last, they will stand their ground. Sam Houston is leading his army here because on the 18th, near Harrisburg, or present-day Houston, his men captured a Mexican carrier carrying a dispatch that said Santa Anna was hurrying ahead of his army to capture the insurgent government. Santa Anna is planning to cross the San Jacinto River here at Lynch's Ferry, established by Nathaniel Lynch in 1828. Houston has come to intercept Santa Anna and his detachment. The information captured near Harrisburg proves correct. Barges loaded with Mexican supplies sent ahead by Santa Anna are captured by the ferry by the Texians soon after they arrive. Now, Houston camps here, under the trees along the road to Lynch's Ferry, blocking Santa Anna's route north. On April 19th, Colonel Juan Almonte, Santa Anna's aide-de-camp, catches up with President Burnett and his cabinet south of here at Morgan's Point, and could have killed him as they rode away in a boat. But the chivalrous Almonte ordered his men not to fire because Mrs. Burnett was also in the boat. After burning New Washington, Santa Anna turns his force northward to cross the river at Lynch's Ferry. He arrives here with his column of about 750 soldados and one cannon on the afternoon of April 20th, while Houston and his men watch, hidden along the shadows of the huge trees along Buffalo Bayou. The first contact between Houston and Santa Anna is between the cavalry. After a brief skirmish on the road from New Washington, the Texians under Colonel Sidney Sherman temporarily delay the Mexican advance and then ride to the Texian camp to warn Houston that Santa Anna is coming. When Santa Anna surveys the situation, all he can see are two cannons at the edge of the forest because Houston keeps most of his army hidden. These cannons are the now famous Twin Sisters, two 6-pounders that are gifts from the people of Cincinnati, Ohio. Santa Anna orders Colonel Delgado to advance the only cannon he has with him, a 9-pounder called the Golden Standard.